Welcome, as always, Michael Malthouse, this being Tuesday. Mick, how are you?
You can't get any satisfaction.
No, I can't, Mick. Mate, you are... You're on fire, Darth. and you know what? I haven't been getting any satisfaction, Mick. Hey, just on that, 6 games of our 18 games in 18 days. You got any trends or any satisfaction with it?
I've had plenty of Rolling Stone satisfaction. No, the games themselves, I think by reducing the number of games, sides are now going, hey, this is fairly real. We can't get caught up in having our players short going into the round one. I think it's what it said is we've got to get at least 2 games in the teams into our team, and maybe 3 for some blokes. Whereas in the NAB Cup, not the challenge, but the actual NAB Cup, we had 4. You'd play 2, you might get 1 rest and come back for the last one or whatever it was. But now I think these 3 or 2 games. It was 2 games, and we've all elected to play a practice match. I reckon it's stating, hey, listen, let's get serious with our group because we want to go into round one trying to win it, not be underprepared. That's the trend I see. Yeah,
and look, I know there's still a lot of congestion there because there's a bit more turnover. Sides look like they're trying to work the ball with handball from the back half through the corridor with a little bit more speed. What else do you think? Or do you reckon the game's going to be very, very similar to last season?
Look, there's a few trends. There's no doubt in my mind that Fremantle created a very good defensive unit and that's on the back of probably St Kilda and Collingwood over a few years, and then we see Fremantle do the same, and we're saying, okay, they're going to block you in, they're going to lock you in. How do you get out? And then you're going to look at, say, Hawthorn, who are just superb with their kicking skills. How do you stop them from getting that 30-metre, 40-metre kick away and then set up the rest of it? And then you're going to look at Geelong, who have been, let's face it, over the last, they've been a bit longer than most over that period. They multi-hand pass through the corridor. They just take risk. How do we stop it, or how do we do it? And so there's those that want to stop it, and there's those that think their side's good enough to do it. So that's the trend I'm seeing.
Mick, I thought the interesting thing with the Crows Port game, I'm not sure if you saw any of it, was that the Crows didn't completely empty out their forward line, and we've seen teams, push up into one half of the ground completely. Yeah, sure. They didn't empty out, and they made a real issue of keeping at least a couple of forwards inside their 50.
Yeah, there's no question. The 6 games are hard to follow on TV sometimes, but you don't get always a reverse angle from the goals and this kind of stuff. But what you take from it is that Brisbane in particular, they elected to take a lot of kids, and the second one was Port elected to leave a lot of their senior players out there. Perhaps they think they need 2 to go into that first game.
Yep. And,
of course, you probably from those games, you probably learn a lot more from games that are floggings, because the side that's won the game confidentially stick to the game plan that they want to use through the year, whereas when it's a little bit, let's say Geelong and Collingwood was a couple of points, us and North Melbourne was just under a goal, just over a goal, you tend to get caught up in trying to, okay, now you've got in front, how do you manipulate staying in front, you're behind, how do you get back in the game? So you're not quite seeing the full gambit of what sides want.
Yep.
But in Adelaide's case, you saw a lot more of what they want, and in Hawthorn's case, you saw a lot more of what they want. So those that are sort of sitting and watching the games, they will learn a lot more from the bigger wins or losses than the close games, because there's always, throw a man behind the ball. We're a point in front, let's sustain it. We're a point behind, how do we sort of generate a goal? So you tend to see a screen that is a little bit more garbled than behind the goals, whereas as I said before, if you're able to get the stuff behind the goals, you'd be very much over what sort of game style the opposition want to make.
Now, you mightn't have seen a game style you liked, but you saw an oval that you loved.
Well, I say that because that's not the ground I actually played on, but I come from Ballarat, you see, and I just love Ballarat. I love Ballarat, the city. I love the city. My parents have died. My sister moved out many years ago. I've got a couple of relatives that are in and around the little bush places in Mount Edgin and Gordon and so forth. But the side itself, I come from North Ballarat. They are clearly the most equipped countryside in, and I'll say, in Australia.
Wow.
They actually play in the VFL. They've won premierships from the VFL.
They've been trendsetters, haven't they, Mick?
They have been sensational.
Yeah.
I left there way back in 71, And a bloke called Ken Ayres said, how do we make some money? We're at the showgrounds, and he looked across the water and he said, look at all these big sheds. Why don't we go into bingo? So he put a bingo centre in there, and they made all this money, and from there on in it was just no look back. They just said, okay, we'll make anything that built at that ground is paid for. They don't go to the banks, and I'm a very proud, once a Northie, always a Northie, and I know that's over there as well, but I love North Ballarat, and I love Ballarat, so it was a very good occasion to go back and spend a bit of time up there, particularly given that they held a NAB Cup Challenge game.
Well, what about then, and will we ever see the day where maybe a Melbourne AFL team moves to North Ballarat, and there's a perfect fit there, and that's North Melbourne?
I don't think they'll move there. It may well be a case of actually playing a game there.
Okay.
They'd have to bring in a lot of prefab stands and so forth, but that's been done before. And the ground itself is MCC size, so you're not looking at a small country town ground. You're looking at a very, very capable football industry up there that can get a game under. They play the VFL up there, so it's a very good game.
Twin Tools forward on the weekend, last night, there was Carlisle and Danaher. I mean, Hawks, you look at Roughhead, if it's not Hall, it's going to be Gunston. Sydney going to have Buddy and Tippett, Geelong, Hawkins and whoever. Crows want to do it, Port want to do it. Last year, some teams had the 3 tools because a resting ruckman was there. What's the, I don't know whether that's a trend or what is the best?
Oh, the best is the best players.
There you go.
If you've got 3 very good players, you don't waste them because they can catch the football. If you've got 2 that can catch it and 1 can't, well, clearly what ends up happening, you end up with a 2-4 forward line. I've coached a side in West Coast that had perhaps really, at the end of the day, it really had 1 and a centre-half forward that was just over 6'2" and just worked his backside off in Langdon. When I went to Collingwood, we won the premiership there. We had 3. We had, Cloak, Brown, and I'm trying to think who their third one was. I'll get slaughtered for this, but we had 3. We had a 3-3 forward line, and it worked very, very. Chris Dawes, of course. So what it did, you've got to play players that are good enough, and some of these teams, look, you said the Hawthorn will have Gunston in there. There's no question. They'll have Ruffy, but they'll also have Hale because they've been able to now get that transfer from McAvoy, which means that Hale can spend time centre half forward. So they'll go 3-3. Geelong probably go 3-3 at some stage because young Vardy's a damn good footballer. You've got Hawkins, and they'll put Harry Taylor down there for certain at some stage.
I don't know whether you got over this story, but we were interested with it today. Hawks coach Alistair Clarkson, he presented to the commission and he was quoted as saying the game was ambushed last year by the supplement saga. He's asking for sweeping changes amongst the coaches. Went on and also to say that not all coaches, this is AFL coaches, wrap their arms around James Hird just because the AFL Coaches Association did. In other words, he said, don't get wrapped up with all of that. Is he right, Alistair Clarkson? Is he speaking on behalf of you, do you think?
He's on the money. We all meet the AFL Coach Association, and I said to them, what statement are we going to make in regard to this? This is just recent times, okay, so it's not long ago. And I said, we've got to make a statement. This is something that we have got to come out strongly and say, what do we expect of our senior coaches? We are being looked up to by so many coaches at the next level down and down and beneath that. And what's our substance? What do we stand for? We can't have people who have been. I've got to be careful with my words here but Clarkson's on the money. We've got to get this coaching situation. When I was at Collingwood, I went to Laurie Wooden and said to him, I want to make all my coaches be accredited and go to the third level. He jumped for joy because that meant that if we were asking for our deputy coaches, our assistant coaches to be level 3 in accreditation, it meant that others around the country would look for the same. But I think you've got to be more than just accredited. I think you've got to be somehow or another registered in some capacity that you have got the mental, 1, attitude and aptitude, 2, that you've got a knowledge of the game, and 3 is that you've got to have some sort of role that you will not bring the game in disrepute. This is a fundamental thing that I've always said. I've been blessed as a player. I've had genes as a coach. and I've had Hafey as a coach. And I've had, from there, 3 more, which was Burke, Jewell and Richardson. They're all premiership players or premiership coaches. And the thing about them, they fight hard for victory, but they're fair, they're uncompromised, and they are absolutely about promoting the players in the game. Not shortcutting, not trying to make sure they're making sure that their players have some responsibility of the way they play. And I've been, I was taught that at a very young age. So when I come through as a coach, clearly you're actually you've learnt from the best. And I know some years ago, it's 30 years ago now, but I was particularly mortified by the fact that we as an industry didn't really come out strong enough to support the coaches that do the right thing and make sure that this industry is never lent on by people who don't do the right thing.
I'm seeing a Mick Malthouse coaching school when you finished your coaching time, Mick, and maybe that's what they need, like a coach to oversee or implement those non-negotiables, because there's got to be some non-negotiables for coaches, maybe.
Oh, I think the Coaches Association is very well supplied there. David Parkin is outstanding.
Yeah.
David Parkin is as hard as you'll get, but he's also as fair and as honest as you'll get. So our Coaches Association is a very strong unit, and I think what we probably didn't do is come out strongly and say what we expect of our coaches. And look, I'm not putting words in people's mouths, but this is something that we needed to do, we should have done, but I guess...
Why didn't it happen?
No, I can't answer that. Answer that, but there's some very good people there. Paul Armstrong, Danny Foy are very, very good people. So we haven't got mugs in our industry, and we haven't got mugs in those capacities. But yep. I guess that they will always look to help people and help the coaches, but we need to be very, very strong on this. And Clarkson has done a great favour to coaches, I believe, in his statement.
Carlton's Brock McLean, and I saw this, he's been charged with reckless contact to an umpire, $2,600, early plea $1,950, nearly $2,000. It's a NAB challenge, Mick. That is ridiculous.
Well, you know what? You just alluded me to something I didn't know, and I probably should have known, but let me say that we've had to change the rules. And when when the umpires come out and gave us the new rule changes and this sort of stuff, I've got to say they're a little bit flippant about the positioning of the umpire. It didn't mean much to them, but it means a massive amount to us because they've now changed their direction totally of where they come from. So I am very, very disappointed, one, that we didn't have some leniency to adjust to the umpire's position.
Spot on.
The way I see this, the game is about... We've got to keep remembering about this. And this is the fundamental thing. The game is about the footballers who perform great deeds on the football field. It's not about referees, umpires, or coaches, or anyone else. It is about the players. And they, like last night, the last kick by Ablett, that just reinforced again the greatness of not only that player, but the game that was won in less than a second by one of the greats. Now, that's all about that player. It's about his runs, about his marking. It's about Franklin kicking his freak goals. It's about, Joe Watson running through the middle of the ground and, laying it off to Hurley who kicks the goal. That's what it's all about.
Yep.
The umpires, I believe, in this instance, have changed the game. They don't believe they have, but they've changed the game because we no longer have the corridor to work in. Now, if someone's clipped an umpire, clearly we knew it happened. Surely there must be some grace.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm a bit disappointed in that because I think that we need, as an industry, to go through NAB Cup challenges and adjust to the changes, which are going to throw out a lot of players.
Yeah. Because
we are all about winning the ball. We're not about running to umpires. We're about winning the ball.
Nah, well said, Mick. Michael Malthouse for North Point Trader. I have been busting this last 15 minutes to ask you this question. Did you or did you not, Mick Malthouse, see star Crow recruit Eddie Betts, 5 goals, 2 goal assists, 6 tackles, best on ground performance, Mick?
Oh, I did watch part of that game. That doesn't surprise me, though. We wanted to keep Eddie Betts. He's a fantastic player. And Adelaide are going to get an excitement machine.
Yeah.
First of all, he's a wonderful little bloke.
You said that from the word go. You did, Mick. And we're now starting to find that out.
Yeah, but he's a wonderful little player. And what you saw is a little taste of the genius that he is. We couldn't keep him because that's just the way the game was gone. We got Dale Thomas. Other clubs have picked up. Essendon got Goddard. We've seen Franklin move. This is just the nature of the game. I don't particularly like it, but that's the way it is. And once it's in, it's hard to pull back. So therefore, you just join in and maximise your benefits.
Did you see his leadership potential? They talk very much about his impact on this playing group on and off the field. Was that always evident?
He's a very serious little man.
Yeah.
And he's a great director of, once he picks up what you want, he directs out there. He's a terrific young man.
Wow.
What's your plans for him then? You got him in about 6 days' time.
Well,
don't want to give too much away, okay?
No. Look, if he plays, I'm going to put Dylan Buckley on him. Dylan Buckley is a young forward who I've given an opportunity last week to play back on Thomas.
Yep.
Lindsay Thomas is a terrific forward, and he did quite well on him. He drifted off a little bit. He needs more and more time back there on the best players. Now, if Betts plays, he will have Buckley play on him at times. He'll have Yaron play on him at times. He'll have probably Simpson play on him at times. He might have Walker and also Tui. It depends on matchups, but certainly Buckley at some stage will definitely play on Betts.
Well done. That's exciting. That's Carlton Crows this Monday coming. 5AA will be there. Crows, we've been told, we had Sando yesterday, could have 7 or 8 of their first choices they rested back. Are you going to be the same? Will you be full tilt, do you think, Monday, or close to?
No, because we've still got players we want to give. Of the 3 games we're playing, I believe firmly that you've got to have 30 players by the start of the season, and we haven't played that many yet. So we need to get at least 30 over the line. So we'll give a couple of kids a go. We'll bring a couple of players in that haven't played.
Okay.
So our side will be a little bit mixed again. But just on our side, we're delighted that Andrew Walker, of course, has re-signed for 3 years, if I could just put that one in as well.
Yeah, we saw that 3-year contract, so you've kept our hands off him and a couple of others too to sign this year, Mick.
Yeah, we're going to get more, but I'm pretty confident.
Beautiful.
Well done. Hey, Mick, thanks for your time.